Tommy Stinson from Cowboys in the Campfire. You're listening to All Over the Place podcast, where the funsanity never ends. And I mean it.
Hello, all over the place audience. We are back and very excited today. Huge announcement. And Jim, Mr. Culver's in the house. Hello, JC.
Hello, Eric. How you doing?
Fan-flippin-tastic. I shared the good news with you yesterday,
Yep.
And I want to make sure you were here. Unfortunately, Marty's not going to be able to join us again today. Busy life, our man known as Mr. Zamora. Very excited to be announcing that we are still going to be recording here on Podbean, but we are now able to be accessed at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Samsung Podcasts, and Boomplay. And there's still a couple more I'm waiting to hear back, and I believe it's Deezer, and who's the other one? Podcast Addicts as well. And so I'm very excited that we're going to be able to be heard in more places. I almost said heard in more places. We're going to do that. Is what we're going to do. But we're just growing, and I can barely contain the excitement. So shout out to our producer, Christine, on this one. I mean, and just been amazing. And with us now, hello, Nick from Vinyl Record Dude. Thanks for joining us again today.
How you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal. I don't know when you jumped in. Did you hear all the new places where you can catch us now?
Yeah, that's great.
So yeah, it's Ray just growing leaps and bounds, and very excited about that. And also very excited that we have got Josh Fleming coming in today from Vandoliers. And I almost said the Vandoliers, and it's like you're not supposed to say the Pretenders. That Chrissy Hine classic band. They're just Pretenders, and this is just Vandoliers. So excited that Josh is going to be joining us today. Band's gearing up for some shows in Florida right now, if I'm not mistaken. And it's doing some tours and some shows up and down the East Coast, and hopefully staying as warm as possible while back there. Because as we discussed on the last show, Nick and I know cold, whether it's Ohio or Pennsylvania. So Godspeed to anyone who is touring that part of the country right now. We're a toque, eh?
Any kind of weather that involves a toque, I'm out.
On this National Pizza Day. And do you guys buy into this national whatever day it is? Or do you just go with it for any excuse to eat pizza?
No, I think there's been so many made up holidays at this point that don't have any basis except to sell you things. I just don't bother. I go with the same holidays that I celebrated 20 years ago, and the internet ones are complete bunk.
I have an excuse to force my family to get pizza.
That's the way I look at it. And professional Catholic that I am, I'm a great rationalizer. And and any excuse to go get pizza. I'll ride the bike a couple extra miles.
If you need an excuse to eat pizza, you're doing it wrong. Come on.
Exactly.
And it's become a thing at my house now that I always want pizza.
Oh boy, I
see
think we got him. Do
No,
we have him?
I see it. Josh, are you with us?
I'm here.
Oh,
Houston, or whichever part of
Praise the
Texas.
Lord.
We have liftoff. Josh Fleming from Vandoliers. Welcome to All Over the Place.
What's up? So sorry that
Hey.
I'm so sorry.
Hey,
This
if you're
took
not
me
fashionably late,
way too long to get onto your show. Yeah.
I'm
My
an
bad.
umpire, and what I like about our job is you can't start a game without us. So
That's great.
sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. And I've being you're a Texan band, and I've got a question because I've been listening to music pretty much my entire life, and from Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, ZZ Top, all the way through Whiskey Glass Eye and Haze a Drink with Slobberbone, Let the Whiskey Take the Reins, Let's Get Drunk and Get It On, Old 97s, and you guys Too Drunk to Drink and Bless Your Drunken Heart. Do you guys get kickbacks from the Texas liquor stores? And if not, I'm willing to sign a petition for you guys so that you can.
We have a sponsor with Hop and Sting Brewery. I guess that's the closest thing to a kickback we've ever gotten.
I knew it.
But
I knew it.
Yeah, it's been nice. They helped us with getting on the road with Flogging Molly last year, and they'll give us a pallet of beer anytime we ask. So that's kind of nice. So
And going on the band with Flogging Molly, you shout out going out for sure. And then going on the road with Flogging Molly, you definitely had to be keeping pace with the alcohol.
Yeah, to my detriment for sure.
Well, livers can be replaced, can't they? I'm not a doctor, but I have played one on stage.
Yeah. So what's up? How's it going?
Well, hey, we've been talking about Nick, and first I'd like to introduce you. Nick is one of our guest co-hosts. He's from Local Record Store Vinyl Record Dude, and Jim Culver, one of my co-hosts. And we're very excited to have you in, Nick. And I'm big fans, and we caught you guys at the end of year show out with Roger Klein and the Peacemakers, the New Year's Eve show. I've seen you.
Nice.
My introduction to you was 2019 with Lucero over at Crescent Ballroom again, one of my favorite venues locally. And the thing we keep coming back to is you guys are just raucous live. And that energy is infectious. And thank you so much for that. And I guess my question is, when's the live album coming that so everyone else gets to experience that, at least driving around in their cars or dropping the needle on the turntable at home?
Like the music industry is so odd. And as we started as a band, we were, we started on different labels. So like our first label was State Fair Records in Dallas, and they have rights to our first two albums. Then Bloodshot Records has the right to our third album. It got sold to a conglomerate, and like our new album is self-released, and that's just us. So we have complete rights of that. So making a live album to like press and distribute, there's a lot of red tape involved with that. But, when we played with Turnpike Troubadours for night 2, we played night 1 as well, but I got a recording of night 2 at Kane's Ballroom for their second show and our set from it. And that's the closest thing to a live record that I have, and I cherish it deeply. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite recordings of us.
Well, you could always do a Kevin.
I don't know if you're ever going to get one, but I got one.
Well, I rest gently knowing that someone has something somewhere, but you could always do what Kevin DeBro joked about way back when a Circus, I believe it was Circus, Kevin DeBro joked after Metal Health came out, they're going to be the first band to record a live album and then release a greatest hits album of nothing but the same songs.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd probably be in the same boat.
There's a money grab for it. And actually, in addition to the recording of your own live album, what are some of your favorite live albums through the years?
Mark, Tom, and Travis Show by Blink-182 was my first concert I ever went to, and they were making a live record on that tour. So I will buy that record anytime I see it on any medium. I have it on cassette tape, vinyl, CD, download, everything. Nice. Because that was my first show. With the same pop punk vibe, I also like Bullet in a Bible by Green Day, mostly for the performances. Everything else is a little melodramatic. Live at San Quentin, Johnny Cash. What is it? Huckleberry Road or Willie Nelson live record. I had my barbershop. I was a barber for a while, and I always played that one. Had a bunch of great live cuts. Towns Van Zandt, the Old Quarter. That was a big milestone getting to play there after listening to that record with my uncle and my dad for my entire life. And then I hear They Suck Live by NOFX, probably.
NOFX was brought up on the last one we were talking. That's Jim and Nick are both a big NOFX guys. So there you go.
Hit or miss with that band, but I love them. Again, hit or miss. They have records that are massively important to me, and then they have songs that just make me cringe. It's just, but that live record's really funny.
Now, when you're doing song in the live setting, of course, you've got the punk background. That's where you start out before melding into the alt country and Americana, and so what I was thinking about, one of my favorite live acts because I love his MO with it, but Hank Williams III, Hank 3 comes out. I saw him at the Roxy back in my LA days. Came out, did a beautiful set, sounding just like his granddaddy, and then takes the break. Comes back out 10, 15 minutes later as Ass Jack, his speed metal band. So is that something we can ever envision seeing with Vandoliers? And you guys just come out total balls off for rock and roll?
I go balls out every night.
Well, from a country
100%.
standpoint, absolutely, yeah, and it's raucous. It's awesome. So yeah, it's.
I've played with metal bands. I ain't scared. I ain't scared of a metal band at all.
I survived a mosh
Loud as
pit
fuck.
with Hank 3 with Ass Jack. So yeah, it's. I was younger at the time. I was in
We
my
had a-
30s, so I don't know if I'd be able to do it in my 50s.
We had a circle pit at Hollywood Palladium. So I
Nice.
don't know. So like for me, like I fucking hate genres. I do, and I hate boxes.
Mhm.
And that's why our band sounds the way it does. Like I love country music very much, but if we're not even, we would be a terrible country band. And I love punk rock very, very much, but like a stiff lip punk is going to hate it. And like, I'm okay with that because purists are probably the worst part of being a musician is constantly, trying to define what you do for somebody else to think that you're worthy enough for something. So, with what Hank 3 did, I think that's the best thing that he could have done. For me, like he already did it. So my idea of mixing the two is having a country verse and a punk rock chorus, and that's kind of my vibe.
3 chords and the truth. That's all. That's the DNA of it all. It's what I love about you guys. So it's and it's one of the things I love
Or
about
5 and a lie. Who knows?
Well, Slobberbone. That's one that when I fell in love with them back in the late '90s, early 2000s, and then of course when they morphed into the Drams and just took it to a pop country and just the melding of things. I love that too. So there's no definition to it.
Yeah.
Just let's put it all together into a blender. And you want to follow along, great. If not, well, your loss.
Yeah, I mean, the pool of creativity is boundless, and like I think we're hitting our 8 years as a band. So like, we're going to be stretching our legs farther and farther away from even what people expect us to do. Anytime that and I would expect any artist to do that. And I hope that we get to keep playing around with the sound and people keep figuring out or keep relating to it, and like that's at the end of the day, that's like the only expectation I have when I'm doing something is, am I growing and, is it, is there something to say here?
Right.
And then genre be damned after that.
Amen. Now, I was recently reading an interview with John Taylor from Duran Duran, and he was talking about just the process of songwriting and how they used to do it on the road. And then, I'd say probably most bands do that when they start out, and just the creativity flows there. And before it turned into, how the Beatles and Stones did it, and you're constructing a song in the studio. And for you guys, I mean, just what as the songwriter in the band, the chief songwriter in the band, what's your favorite method to either writing a song in a flurry of creativity, getting it all done, in a short span, or just bringing the band together and just doing little bits and pieces, the building blocks?
I mean, you're going to have to be able to accept a very fluid answer on this question.
Always.
Because there is no right way or wrong way to write a song. I mean, writing on the road's very new for me. Like, I have never been on the road more than I've been in these past 2 years. So that's very new for me. I'm not used to being in a moving vehicle trying to write lyrics, or in a hotel room trying to come up with the end of the song of the poem that I wrote in the van. That's not natural, but that's what I've been working on lately. I usually, if I'm on the road, I put rain sounds in my headphones and then try to write enough lyrics to make it look like a song on paper. And then if I have time while on the road, I'll finish the song up in like a hotel room or a green room. That doesn't usually happen. So it just kind of gets piled up in the back of my journal. And then when I get home, I reread through and, pick out the ones that are, relate, like stuff that I feel is, worthy of continuing. And so then I'll sit down and I'll have a stack of paper. Maybe it's 3 songs, maybe it's 10 songs. And then I'll start trying to find the melody and the music in there. other times, like right now, while I'm sitting at home on a 6-week break, I start with drums and I create an entire song on my computer with drums, and then I play a chord progression on top of that, and then I mumble over it, and then I find the melody, and then I write the lyrics to that melody, and then I have a song. So it just depends on, what I have a song, Cigarettes in the Rain, and that was written by two other guys, and it was me, John Pedigo, and Arliss Albritton sitting in a house after dinner, and I went outside for a smoke and came back, kind of thing. Sometimes those pop out in like a co-writing setting, which is one of my favorite things about country music. Is it's not just one guy writing a song. You can kind of sit there and have like a collective of songwriters, not just like, it's not just about the accompaniment, but it's about like the actual bones of the song, and you can work with other people. And I love that. I love writing alone. I like writing with my friends for no reason. Some of my favorite songs will never, I have albums of songs that no one's ever going to hear. They're just for me. Mainly because there's no way that money would ever be made from them. So why spend it on, you know what I mean? They're not marketable, but I love them, so I think fluidly, the best way to write a song is just to write it. And the trick of getting a lot of songs is the moment you're done writing a song, try to write one more. And if you can write 2, that means you can write 3. And if you can write 3, then maybe 4, and then you just continue on. And I've written, like, the first 2 records of Vandos were written in a weekend, essentially, so it just kind of depends. But I really love the craft. I've dedicated my life to it. I am obsessed with it. I find inner knowledge through writing and opening myself up to, that universal funnel that just kind of comes through, and then you get to write aimlessly. And then sometimes it takes me like weeks and I overthink a song, and then that ends up being something that no one ever hears. And it took me like 6 months to write.
Right.
I don't know, but I do love what I do. And I've learned a lot from a lot of great, Rhett Miller, you referenced earlier. I have pretty much like a college course of notes of like 20 songs that I sent him once, and he was kind enough to give me notes on all of my songs, and I learned so much from him. I learned a lot being on the road with Lucero. Ben Nichols is one of my favorite writers of all time. I learned a lot being out with Dave King from Flogging Molly. He was on my Mount Rushmore when I was a kid of songwriters. I thought he was the best punk songwriter, and I was right at the time. He's brilliant. I learned a lot from Frank Turner after meeting him on a cruise and diving into what he does and how he does it. I've learned a lot from Garrett Reddick of Bowling for Soup, who has a great country record, and him and I have, collaborated a lot. I'm going on tour with Josh Walker. He's a brilliant songwriter. I'm sure I'll learn a trick from him on the road. And I just try to keep learning as much as I can. That's really the trick to keep, writing the most. Just learn, read, try.
And you mentioned Flogging Molly being one of your early influences in terms of him being the best punk writer. So, and that's an influence. Now, which of your songs would you maybe want them to perform?
Bless Your Drunken Heart, for sure. I'd love to hear him do Cigarettes in the Rain. I have this new song that I've been working on that I love. That would be cool. Maybe a rendition of Troublemaker would be pretty fun. I mean, all those guys are incredible musicians. They'd probably do it much better than me. But I've been lucky enough to kind of Turnpike Troubadours is another one. Evan Belker and RC are two of my favorite writers that I've imitated into the ground, and I'm so grateful that I did, because it opened me up to a bunch of people who love Turnpike, and it turns out everybody loves Turnpike, which is great. So that's awesome. And you know, from them, I mean, I found a bunch of other stuff like John Fulbright, who's absolutely amazing. I found this band, the Flycatchers, in Oklahoma City, that are just like some of the best harmonies I've ever heard. Some really beautiful lyrics. I think they have a new record called Mockingbird. I think that's what it's called. But I listened to that a couple of months ago, and I was enthralled with it. Shit, Corey Brandon from Memphis, absolutely genius level dude. I don't know.
Nice.
The songwriting realm for me is just like it's so fun, and I'm in a great spot to kind of learn from all these brilliant people around me.
Well,
right
I'm
now.
certainly thankful for it, and I'm glad that Ben and Lucero brought you guys on the road. Just your set back in 2019 was just like floored, loved it, and so I'm glad I've stuck with and just getting back into your back catalog and everything. So, and one of the things that we talked about on we're calling it the Vandoliers Hype Show. Nick from Vinyl Record Dude. Now, Nick, what were the 3 songs that you? What we wanted to find out from you, but I want Nick to kind of set the stage for you with what he thought were the 3 best songs to introduce your band to a newbie, to get them hooked into the band. And Nick, Bottom Dollar Boy was one of them. What were the other 2?
Yeah, it's so hard. I really, there's not too many bad songs. There's not really any.
Exactly.
I love all of it. It's.
You're damn right.
and you can come into our probably hear Vandoliers a lot, to the point where my employees are like, "You're putting on a Vandoliers record again." And, I really like Cigarettes in the Rain.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm sure we are obnoxious at times.
Miles and Miles has been.
Yeah.
I've been playing that a lot lately, and then everything off the new album I've really been playing a lot lately. I'm really getting into it every Saturday night.
Awesome.
Things true to me and a lot of my friends, and we came and saw you the day my friend got and one of my employees got a clean bill of health of cancer.
That's great.
Free, and we came and saw you guys, and you played that song, and he was like crying.
Yeah. I think I remember that. Was that Dirty Drummer?
It was a Dirty Drummer, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm not enough for crying publicly, but I mean, it's just.
Oh, don't do that. Also, you can cry in public. I don't. Yeah, vulnerability is not something to be made fun of.
So, Josh, what was your 3? Your power of 3, the Trinity. What 3 songs would you throw at somebody who has never heard your music and to make them a fan? What would you go with?
There's a lot to unpack with my band because we're so fucking weird. But I would say I would start them off with rolling. I would start them off with Rolling Out. Not that Bottom Dollar isn't a great song. It was the first song I wrote for the band, but I feel like Rolling Out is just, I love starting the set with that song. And so I would, it's going to be the first song you probably will hear when you see us live. So I would start there, and then I would probably do Cigarettes in the Rain, just so when it comes, when we get to the show, you can sing along. It's pretty easy. And then, probably every Saturday night. And only because I feel like it's one of the most important songs I've ever written. And I think those are my 3. You get a trumpet song, you get a sad song, you get an anthem. So that sums up my band.
No argument from this guy, and I'm looking forward to when you guys get back out here again. I've only got 2 Vandolier shows under my belt. I need more. It's a drug. I need it. Well, you got the East Coast to take. You got to make those people back in the East Coast happy. You know, it's very cold for them right now. Your music will warm them up, and just bless your drunken heart and too drunk to drink. Just get the liquor flowing. That always helps warming people up. Mm-hmm. And we talked at the beginning of the show. We were talking about. I was lucky enough way back in 2007. I saw the ZZ Top Fandango out there at the Cotton Bowl,
nice.
the amphitheater there, and that bill was the Drams, David Allen Coe, Shooter Jennings, Drive-By Truckers, Old 97s, and of course the Mighty Top. And so Vandoliers fit completely into that lineup. But take Vandoliers, and what other 5 bands would you want to have over there at the Cotton Bowl? Just getting out there having a good time.
Turnpike, Flogging, 97s, Lucero, Bruce Springsteen.
I'm on my way to Dallas right now.
Yeah. I feel like that's about maybe the Mavericks if we can't afford Springsteen, but we'll figure it out.
Well, we had if I remember correctly, Bottle Rockets were playing on one of the side stages too. So there's room for everybody at this thing.
I love that band. I miss that band. We were on Bloodshot like right when they were breaking up, and it was a bummer, but I love that band.
And Jim, I believe you had a question you wanted to throw at Josh?
Well, I did want to ask you about a tune called Endless Summer, which I really liked. It had a really impressive energy and kind of a wistfulness, and you don't usually see those two elements together in a song. I was just kind of curious what influenced that song.
I wrote that song in my barbershop between clients on the guitar that was hanging on the wall, and I would play that little lick for a couple of weeks. And I even remember being like, I'm never going to find something to say on top of this. And then at that time, I was 27. I had just gotten married. I was kind of having my first real moments of nostalgia. Like, it was like the first time that I felt like I had gotten older. And I had a lot of responsibilities. Well, also Vandoliers wasn't really even a real band. Like, we had played like maybe 10 shows. We had done some cool stuff, like kind of picking up where my punk band left off. Like, we were drawing people and we were getting opportunities and we were getting press. But in like my brain, we had just made like our first t-shirt, so like nothing to really act like this is going to be life-changing. So it's kind of like, how do I juggle the responsibilities of being a new husband? I'm a business owner. I remember when things were a lot easier kind of thing. And that was like my first real feeling of that, and then I just wrote how I was feeling and I tried not to think about it. I really love the melody. I love singing that song. It's one of those songs where I have to be on to make it happen. And it's second. I usually put it second in the set, so I'm nice and warmed up and the energy's going and it has a big build kind of thing, so I can kind of break things down and allow people to kind of keep that energy, and I get the crowd to clap with me, and that's kind of how I start bringing people in to who we are and what we're about to do to them, essentially, which is just be really fucking loud and confusing. But if you sing along, it's really fun kind of thing. And so it gets people to stop thinking about what they're seeing, It's not, Americana fans and country fans, they're used to sitting down too. And I fucking hate that. So it's a good way to get people up. It's a good way to get people up and moving and clapping their hands and getting interactive with the song. And then on top of that, it has, some of my favorite lyrics. A couple of cliches in there if I could go back and circle those, but other than that, it's easily one of my favorite choruses that I've ever written. And I love singing it, and I love watching people sing along. And when we made the music video, my old bass player's son Jack was the little boy in it, and there have been a slew of younger fans that have gravitated that song, maybe because of the childhood angst of it, but also because of the music video. So, yeah, I love that song. Great question.
Yeah, it's a great tune.
And when did
Thank you.
When did it become so commonplace for people to be sitting down at shows? Why do people need to be prodded to get off their asses and dance? I mean, that's. I'm going to throw a shout out to my girlfriend / producer. That's how we met at the Tears for Fears. We were talking about just that. Stand up, get up. When did this become commonplace? Why are we allowing this to happen?
Restaurant money is good. The shows are terrible.
Dinner theater, if you will.
Yeah. Also, I started an Americana band, country band, what have you, when I was kind of aging out of the punk scene, like 25 and up, it's kind of weird being at an all age show. So you start going to like bars and theaters and listening rooms and stuff like that. And like, don't get me wrong, when I say this, I mean it with the utmost respect. People are old. They don't want to stand up for an hour and a half. I don't personally want to play for an hour and a half, but that's what I'm paid to do. I like a cool 45 anytime. I'll do an hour and a half any night of the week, but my favorite nights are when I have 45 minutes. I can get people, good 45 minutes of cardio for everybody. Everybody's having fun. We get moving. We only play the hits, and the energy in the room never stops and keeps building and building and building until it finally pops at the end.
Wham, bam, and thank you, ma'am. Yeah, I got it.
Yes.
I'm 53, but I still got the brain of a 14-year-old who wants to get into that mosh pit. But I pay for it the next day. I can't headbang like I used to, like when when Metallica comes to
the bangover.
Exactly. Oh God, bring on the Bengay and just stretch it out. But yeah, Metallica's coming later this year, and I still got a point to prove, but I'll pay for it for a few days. I'm willing to do it. And as we wrap up here, I want to thank you again, Josh, coming in from Vandoliers. And this question, you hit on it a little bit earlier, but a guy with such eclectic tastes, is there one album in your collection that your fans would be most surprised to see?
I don't know. I'm like right next to it. I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you know me, nothing's really off limits.
And that's why I don't like the thing. What's your favorite? What's your guilty pleasure? There should be no guilty pleasure. You like it. Get down or don't.
Well, I'm waiting on a Good Charlotte record to come in. That used to be a guilty pleasure of mine, but I have no guilt now that I'm over that. Now that I'm 35. Yeah, I don't know. Like I buy a lot of records. That's like one of my favorite things to do. I love buying pop records for my wife, and I say they're for my wife. I love them too. Taylor Swift Lover is one of the best sounding records I've ever heard in my life. Every song on it's a banger, and it comes on a cotton candy blue and pink vinyl set. And it's not even rare. It's just from Target, and I love it. I think it's great.
I'm a Hanson guy. I won't deny it. Good pop is good pop. Josh Fleming, everyone from Vandoliers, I want to thank you one more time for stopping in with us here at All Over the Place. And I want to remind everyone again that we are now, you can catch us on Boomplay, on Samsung Podcast, Player FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, Podbean, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Podcast. We are, no, I did say Amazon. I meant we're on Apple Podcasts as well now, too. So check us out there. And absolutely positively, you got Josh and the Vandoliers are coming up the East Coast right now and then going across the Midwest a little bit. Be sure to check them out live. Raucous is the only way, or the best, not the only, it's the best way to define what they do. And Josh, I think we lost him.
I think you took off already.
Oh, geez. Well, hey, I'm so glad to have had him. So we end with a fizzle. Folks, that's the way we roll here on All Over the Place. Little mistakes happen. We're still having fun. And Nick Bohr from Vinyl Record Dude, thanks for stopping in with us. I know you're a Vandoliers fan. I'm glad you're able to join us and get some stuff in. And looking forward to seeing you where I can get my record vibe going on and scratching those many itches I have in the vinyl department. So thanks for joining us again today.
Thanks for having me.
Very welcome. And Jim, as always, my friend, my co-host, he and I will be back real soon. We got more fun guests coming up. And again, one more shout out. Thanks to Josh Fleming from Vandoliers and his team for getting him on. And we'll be back at you real soon here on All Over the Place. Till then, thanks for listening. All Over the Place, where the fun sanity never ends.